Welcoming back to the stage, Nikhil.
There are giants in the sky. Big, tall, terrible, wonderful giants in the sky. That is a quote from Stephen Sondheim's 1986 musical, Into the Woods. Into the Woods is a retelling of classic childhood fairy tales: Jack and the Beanstalk, Rapunzel, Little Red Riding Hood, Cinderella. And Sondheim retells them in such a way that in the end he criticizes the fairy tale wish. At the beginning, there's this 10-minute song where all the characters sing, I wish, more than anything, I wish. But in the end, all those characters either die or have their wish subverted. It's a cynical show. And much like a lot of good media, in my opinion, it captures the depth and complexity of life, the real parts, the sad parts, the unfair parts, the parts that make life quite unlike fairy tale stories. So this quote, there are giants in the sky, big, tall, terrible, wonderful giants in the sky, can mean many things. But here's what I think. Jack, who has climbed halfway up this beanstalk, who has done this work, who partially by chance has found himself in this position, looks up and sees a giant. He sees a kingdom in the sky and he goes, that giant is big, that giant is tall, that giant is terrible, but isn't that cool? Isn't that cool to have a kingdom up in the sky full of gold? Looking up, Jack is afraid. He's terrified, but ultimately he is awed. It is a metaphor for looking out and being scared of what is to come, not knowing what is out there, but still being in wonder, still being excited for it. And as a freshman in that show, I was Jack. I was quite literally and figuratively surrounded by giants. Those seniors towered over me. They seemed to have such a grasp on who they were, what they did, what that entailed. I remember the first table read for Into the Woods. We got to a part in the script, and Mia Boydston, a senior that year at Bryn Mawr, looked at Mr. Rowell and said, "Can I?" And then proceeded to sing, unaccompanied, the entirety of the witch's 5-minute rap in what seemed like a single breath. Those seniors were terrifying, but ultimately wonderful. I think this is a sentiment many of you can share. As freshmen, we are naturally a little scared, having just gone through middle school, this process of struggling to figure out who you are but still not knowing. And freshman year me was completely lost. This was the same sort of time where Instagram and YouTube were promoting all these productivity and philosophy takes. This productivity tip will change your life, the only organizational system you need, a lot of which I found is complete garbage. But one stuck with me. Matthew McConaughey's acceptance speech for Best Actor in 2014. He thanks his mom, his wife, his kids, and then he thanks his biggest hero, who is none other than himself. Himself, though, in 10 years. So that each day, each week, his hero is always 10 years better, 10 years smarter, 10 years stronger. And how powerful that is, to know looking forward that you are your own hero. That you could have grown so much, worked so hard, that you would be able to admire yourself. And yet, for as much as I love McConaughey, how empty. McConaughey's statement is such a lofty thing to place upon someone, to say you, be amazing by yourself. And it fails to recognize how we live in this world, a world filled with people. And what I've found is so much easier is to look at the people around me and make an amalgamation of them my heroes. Every single one of those seniors I still remember, because they each had little bits of who it was I wanted to be. Mia, Sanjay, Curtis, Anay, Michael, they were incredible people. To themselves, I'm sure they hadn't figured it out, but to me they had. They were good students, wonderful musicians, kind souls, responsible leaders. I could watch them and copy them. That's so much easier than figuring it out on your own. If I could see someone in a music practice room, I'd go, oh, I can do that too. I should do that too. But those seniors left, and rather quickly, but in their place, a new class that seemed to have it all figured out. the sweet sort of chivalry of Christian Hall, the deep humility of Sophie Gormand, and so on. I took those lessons and made them, as best as I could, part of me. It was the class of the 25 the year after that I might have learned the most from, though. Small things like the fastest way to get to Towson. Small things like maybe the dress code is meant to be pushed a little bit. But bigger things, too. From Nikki, how important a hug can be. From Derek, always gentler than need be. From Liam and Adoko, how to be a little less serious, how to let go a little more. From Cami, what it means for someone to really, truly have your back. And from all of them, really, because they were such a tightly knit class, what friendship really looks like. I remember really admiring that. This year, last September, in what is promised to be the greatest year, senior year, I felt suddenly alone. For the first time at Gilman, I didn't see them. They weren't here. Adoko was not in the common room playing guitar. Grayson was not sauntering in late to rehearsal. Cami was nowhere to be found backstage. My places were empty and hollow. I felt so indescribably lost. I had not yet attained the perfection that I saw in the classes before me. And with no one to look up to, what was I to do? And with no one to look up to, for the first time in my life, I was given the opportunity to stop looking up, to stop considering every action in relation to the future, and look out, look around me. I realized that maybe the little guys Mr. Smythe talks about, maybe they aren't so little. Yes, it is important to set a good example, and it's a special feeling to be remembered by the lower and middle schoolers. But the little guys aren't just those kids. They're a skinny freshman on the water polo team, without a clue in the world looking up at Wyatt Winstead. A sophomore noticing Logan Harrion with his folded French passage highlighting in the wings. A junior who learned from Cami Miller that no matter how busy you are, you must always make time to make memories with friends. And a senior, no longer looking up but out, realizing that this is his last time surrounded by these people. That senior, still a little guy, learning to laugh like Carlos, to ask questions like Ziani, to be steadfast in opinion like Donovan, but still reserved like Max, to lead with determination like James, and smile in the face of obstacles like Ava, to lead with kindness like Virginia, to love like the world like Sapna, to tease with love like Rothwell, to attempt like Dylan, to understand what it means to do everything with passion and intention. I'm honored to share my speech date with you. And past my friends, to give a random compliment in the hall like Lucas Kelly, thank you. To be kind and considerate in conversation like Colton, thank you. To approach the world with a lighthearted seriousness like Andrew Goodale and Austin Athanas, second period math every day, thank you. These things I realize I appreciate so much. And I too can do those things. And so suddenly the giant comes down the beanstalk and he isn't so big anymore. Cool and terrifying and yes, wonderful, but no bigger than you or me. Not some unattainable giant. I only have one thing to say. Thank you. Thank you to all of you for standing by me, for being my giants ever after. Thank you.